Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. This is our Thursday Tech Talk, and sponsored by the host. And today's speaker is the CEO of LACNIC, Mr. Oscar Robles, and we welcome him and appreciate his coming and speaking on the engineering challenges in the developing world. Mr. Robles was formerly with the NIC in Mexico, and there at that time was instrumental in working with the founding of ICANN, and is a co-founder of LACNIC. And so now, some 20 years later, is the CEO of LACNIC. So I'm going to turn this over to him and enjoy the program. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks, Ray, for this introduction, and welcome everybody to Latin America. I hope you are having a productive week and a good stay. We in LACNIC are very close to this place. We are just across the street or across the river, because the thing we have just in front of us is not the sea but a river, and it's a huge river with 200 miles wide. So we are in that place, in this beautiful place with a very nice view. But this is the other LACNIC's view. Regardless of that, we have as mission to operate and manage the resources for addressing in the region. We do believe that we have something else to do in the region, and that's our collaborative efforts with other organizations. So we share this premises with other organizations, with other 9 organizations, and we call it Casa de Internet de Latinoamérica y el Caribe, which is the home for many organizations like the ones that I have in this slide, the Advanced Academical Research Network for Latin America, which is CLARA, LACTLD, which is the Association of CCTLDs in the region, the Internet Society offices in Latin America, ICANN offices in Latin America, LAC-IX in Latin America as well, ACIET, which is mainly the operators, ECOMLAC, and ALAI. So this is not only technical community, but also part of the academical and private initiative business. And this is a unique model of collaboration in the world. So this is just across Buenos Aires in Montevideo in Uruguay. This time, what I would like to tell you is just a few challenges that we see as relevant for your consideration in your group. Just let me explain some disclaimer here. Not all these challenges are special for Latin America. I mean, I think that some regions actually share those challenges. Actually, some other developed regions also have some of those challenges in specific parts of their own region. However, it is true that this presentation is LAC-centric. I mean, Latin American and Caribbean view or point of view. So when you heard me say our region, I'm talking about LAC region, Latin American and Caribbean region. First, some geographical and demographical facts. We have these relevant asymmetries regarding demographics. We have the crowdest cities in the region, some of the crowdest ones, Sao Paulo in Brazil, Mexico City, this city, Buenos Aires. But yet, we have a very low density in the whole region. And that's kind of explained with the next 2 bullets. We have an over-centralized activity in capital cities in our countries. Services and products quality less likely to be found in the non-capital cities, for example. Distances are long among the cities. And also we have natural barriers. Among the main natural barriers, you see the Andes Range and the Amazon rainforest. But every country has its own natural conditions and challenges as well. Of course, we have some other economical asymmetries. We have countries with 1800 GDP per capita, but also we have countries in the LAC region with 30,000 US dollars as GDP per capita. So that may have as a consequence some indicators like the internet penetration, where you have in Haiti, for example, barely a 10% of penetration, but also at the same area in Aruba, you have 84% of penetration. The main Latin American countries, the continental countries, range between 20 and 70%, being the highest Uruguay, Argentina, and Chile, just across the block. So, with this in mind, we've been facing several challenges in the region, and those may be having an effect in your work, or should be considered in the work that you're doing in the protocol's definition. For example, the power reliability. People in some of our countries and in some of the regions in LAC countries don't know if they are going to have enough power lines, the next day. So they better use efficiently their battery power. Probably you heard today that Venezuela just announced today that they are going to add a new weekend day for its weekend. So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, because they are not, they have not enough energy. So they have to save as much energy as possible, and this is real. I mean, regardless of the political situation, that's a real situation for some of the countries in the region, and the end user have to face that situation. But also something that has less political ingredients, it's that the always-on connectivity might not always be there because of these demographical conditions and these very high crowded cities that are facing the challenges to have 20 million mobile lines, and they are facing this problem that they don't have a connectivity always on as it is promised in the internet in developed countries. Also, we have the situation that the internet penetration or internet access is is driven by mobile lines. So fixed lines, fiber optic to home is not a regular option, and the internet is, in the best of the cases, it is by mobile lines, but also sometimes it is not the complete internet. It is just social networks, and that's it. So that's another challenge. Countries in our region need to make an efficient spectrum usage, mainly in high density areas. That's one of the conditions of these big capital cities. Error rates, for example, sadly not always go down over time. That is also a promise in developed countries that that the internet is sooner or later will have a lower error rate, but that is not always the case in our region. the bandwidth, it's also a challenge. Even though it has grown, it is not as quickly as it is as it has grown in developed countries. Hosting providers, most of the hosting providers used in some of the countries are outside the countries and even outside the region. For example, in Mexico, Latin America, they have preferred hosting providers in the US or Europe rather than in its own country, because of the prices, because of the speed, because of the quality of the services, of many reasons. But that has another condition, that they are not close to their services anymore, and they have to plan with that in mind. What else? Security. Our users, our end user, are not that technologically savvy as in other areas. Uruguay is an exception in the region. They have this Plan Ceibal, which is the one laptop per child implementation in Uruguay, where they got a laptop being in the elementary school, and that rather besides the specific knowledge on their subjects and their traditional education, what they are receiving is the exposure to technology. And the families that are living with the kids are having this same exposure to technology. But that's an exception in the region. In most of our countries, our end users are not exposed to that technology. So the security has bigger challenges, because, as you know, the social factor and the human factor is probably the weakest link in these conditions. And IPv6, of course, when you have an incumbent operator with 60% of data traffic from this sole provider or operator, and there is no good motivation to develop or implement IPv6. We in LACNIC conducted a study last year to understand the reasons and the motivations for not implementing IPv6 in our region, and we have this study. I don't have the link, but I will make sure that to include it in my slides. But we have a lot of good information from inside the region, and that's a very good, very relevant information to try to do something different. So these are the challenges, but I think that if you are interested in knowing a little bit more, you should engage with a serious technical conversation. I'm not pretending to offer a technical talk here. There are some groups that are related to these challenges, but the good part in this is that the internet in Latin America is working. There is running code there. So they actually found the solutions to these challenges. So if probably it's not the most efficient solutions for some of these challenges, but technical guys have found their way to solve all these challenges, and it should be wise to talk with them and see what are they doing, and see if we could help them to have a more efficient way to have these solutions. So just as a matter of examples here, we have this program called FRIDA in LACNIC, together with some members that are helping us to found these initiatives. And we call this FRIDA is a regional fund for digital initiatives in the region. I have some other links here that if you're interested in knowing more details on that, you could go to those links. But let me tell you briefly about these two examples. Those are two projects that we helped fund. We are not fully funding them, but we just fund a small part of those projects. The one in Trinidad and Tobago, which is the M fisheries, this person is using its cell phone to receive information about wind conditions and weather, and sea water conditions to have a more efficient fishing work. So the challenges there is that he doesn't have a always-on connection. He barely has a connection, but he's still doing this in an efficient way. So there are good learnings from this experience, but of course he's using the traditional solution. He's not, they don't, the fishermen there don't have a special protocol to use in overseas. The other one is Quintana Libre here in Argentina, where the traditional operators are not able to offer services because of the lack of economical interest or return on investment. So these communities are establishing their own internet connectivity with radio antennas and very primitive equipment, but it's still an efficient way to connect their communities, their small communities. And this is another way they are connecting those small places with a very high level of error rate. So that's why we are mentioning these cases. So rather than keep talking about these general examples, we wanted to invite some real experiences in the region. You know Carlos Martinez, who is our CTO in LACNIC, and we are going to present, these are the references. We are going to present two specific relevant experiences to share with you. One is Mauricio Oviedo from NIC Costa Rica, but also the CRIX, which is the Costa Rican Internet Exchange Point, and Hernan Arcidiacono. They are both here. You want to go up? They are going to present two small and brief talks about their experience in the area, in the region, and the way they are taking advantage of the work that you are doing, but also probably you will see a chance to talk with them later and see how they are doing their job. So Mauricio and Hernan, who's going to be first? Mauricio? Okay.
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for being here. As Oscar said, thank you Oscar for the introduction. I'm part of the NIC Costa Rica team, and we handle or we manage the National Internet Exchange Point and also the .cr domain registry. So I'm also an IETF fellow on this meeting. It's my first IETF meeting. So it's very interesting to be here. It's been a great experience, and also we wanted to share two specific things. One is how the IETF is impacting what it's being done at Costa Rica at this moment. One specific project that has had a great impact in us, and also a couple of points of how IETF and Latin America can get each time closer and closer. So basically at Costa Rica, we have had a couple of implementations that came out of the IETF. Of course, we all use the technology, we all use the internet, and in our case, we always try to be the early adopters for IPv6, for DNSSEC, and even for RPKI, we wanted to make a difference. We wanted to not just to implement, but also to be able to spread the word of what we're doing. So right now for IPv6, we are in an early stage, let's say it that way. Since 2012, we have it configured at the .cr. All the DNS is fully supported on both IPv4 and IPv6. And when we installed the IXP, when we started this amazing project, which is something that we really are really convinced that was necessary for the country, we also started on dual stack, having IPv4 and IPv6 support since the beginning. We believe that it's the future. IPv6 came and it's not going anywhere, so there's no need to wait to implement it, to use it, and to promote it. So hopefully it will continue growing in Costa Rica. The reality is that a lot of internet service providers have it. They have them on their cores. It's already implemented, but it's not getting to the end user. So I think that it's the reality in a lot of places. It's similar reality, but hopefully that will start changing gradually and hopefully faster than what it's been doing now. DNSSEC is another technology that we have been using since 2012. We are also trying to get closer both groups. From the IXP perspective, we have a very frequent contact with the Costa Rica's ISPs, and then from the DNS perspective with the DNS operators. So we want to get them together and start using DNSSEC in a different and more spread way. On the other hand, there's a particular project that we wanted to mention quickly. From the IETF, one of the works that have had a great impact in Costa Rica is to secure the routing, and we have done it through RPKI. We started in July 2014 and made a great step on May 2015. So let me tell you a little bit about it. Some key factors from this implementation is that we didn't do it alone, and this is something that it's really interesting from our region. In Latin America, it's common. It's very, very common that people, it's very collaborative. They usually want to help, and when they have done something or have a great idea, a good idea, they like to share it. In our case, we had full support from Internet Society, from LACNIC, from Cisco, and from others who were already on this track, trying to get more and more people on board on RPKI. So basically, we created a joint workshop at the beginning of the IXP. When we start rolling it up, we started on April 2014. What's the official launch of the IXP? And we made a best practices workshop with RPKI as well. And we had the support from these different key actors, and it was a success. It was very interesting because at the beginning we didn't know how the ISPs were gonna take it. Were they interested? Was that something that made sense for them? Would that provide benefits that they already know? Well, it turned out that it was like that, and people were implementing it. We started with the process of creating all the RPKI material to create the ROAS, and that took time. At the beginning, all the ISPs that were present, most of them created all their certificates and the raw information, and then we started working with the others that came on board, and that was a process that took us around a year. The process that went from being able to use the technology, in this case the RPKI, for information itself, to know how were everything doing, were the routes being announced correctly, prefixes were conform with the way that the people were signing it. So that was the first step. once we knew and we saw that most of the ISPs were already on this track, so we said, why not taking it further? Why just having this project for just information? So went ahead and enabled origin validation, and it was very interesting. There's a draft that was created, presented here in the IETF, and it basically shows the experience that the people from Ecuador, from the IRPROVI of the NAP.EC had, and how it was a success. So we wanted to have the same success. We based on this content, it's a very detailed experience on how they did it. We received a lot of support, as I mentioned, from different organizations to make it correctly. And we didn't want it just to get information from it, but actually to create an impact. So the way that RPKI helped us directly was, of course, to increment the security. We're able to create an island of trust for the local traffic. And that's something that provides confidence on the project, that provides trust to the users, and also ensures that the information that we're exchanging, it's being exchanged correctly. So that was our main benefit and our main goal. But also when we did it, other things came up. We had a better coordination between ISPs. Some funny things happened. They noticed that, for example, there was a customer with ISP-A and was announcing their prefixes, and for some reason the customer changed provider, but the first ISP continued making the announces. So we noticed those things, and it was a secondary benefit of having RPKI installed. So we got cleaner routing tables within the ISPs, a more organized way to include and to start announcing new prefixes. So that was a great benefit. And also, we wanted to extend the benefits of having RPKI, which is managed by us. Mostly, we have route servers. People directly connect, the ISPs directly connect to our servers. They just need to have a BGP session with us. And we provide a already filtered BGP table or announcements. So to extend the benefits, in case someone would like to add more filters to their routes, not on the links towards the IXP, but also from what was coming from outside, we start providing BGP communities. It's basically 3 different communities who announce the RPKI state of each prefix. And that way, they could choose to use it for more extended ways. So it was very interesting. A lot of benefits came from it. And this is a timeline of how it happened. So we started in 2014. On 4th July, we had the first exchange of traffic. And it was very interesting because it happened during that workshop that I mentioned, where we were learning about RPKI, we were learning about routing engineering, and during the lunch was the first exchange of traffic. And then we continued the journey up to May 2015, where we moved from just using the information from RPKI to actually securing the traffic that we were using. So right now we have 21 members up to date, but it was very interesting to use a work that for a long time was on the IETF and is part of the IETF, and actually applying it to our infrastructure and to our systems. So how can we join? How can we get more involved? IETF in Latin America, as Oscar said, has a particularity, which is that there's not a lot of participation from our region. Different factors apply. Oscar mentioned a lot of them, which are key. And so how can we do it better? How can we get more involved? In Latin America, there's a great technical level. A lot of people know a lot from the technology, but it's usual, or it's very common for the people for just to be a user or just to be an operator. For us, it's a reality. We do use the technology that's been produced at IETF. We do try to apply the best practices, but from going from there to get more involved and actually participate in the technology development, to actually participate in how internet is being created, so that's a difference. And we need to look for ways to be able to get more involved in that way. So that's the challenge, to be able to participate more actively. ISOC Fellowships is a great program that it's teaching people actually, which is getting people involved. In my case, if it were not for ISOC, probably I wouldn't be here. I have not been able to assist to any other meeting yet. So it's a great way to get more people on board. And what about new options? Options for a faster start, for people to get involved. We received an email, the IETFers from this meeting, we received an email from Lanini Elkins. I think it was yesterday and the day before. And she was proposing some interesting things. What about Contributing 101? Or what about IETF preschool? Those were two interesting projects that started a discussion on how we can take advantages of new programs to get more involved within the IETF. So the idea is to get an easier and smooth start. At the beginning it's difficult to get involved if you don't know what's going on. So having more ways to get a faster and easier transition from going to just use the technology to actually being able to contribute in the technology development is something that we really would like to see, and looking for new ways it's a work that we all need to do. So just to finish, we need to ensure that the Latin American and Caribbean community applies the best practices from IETF. We need to ensure that there's an early adoption of every technology that has been developed, and that we can also not just apply that information, but actually contribute on the way that it's been doing. So more IETF meetings in Latin America are really welcome, and hopefully this will be the first of many other meetings within the region that will actually improve and accelerate the adoption, not only of the technology, but also the contribution from the people. Thank you very much.
Hello, no slides with me, so I will be sharing some thoughts with you. I will make the presentation. My name is Hernán Arcidiácono, and I'm from Argentina. I work for IPLAN. IPLAN is a telecommunications and data center service provider. I'm the director of technology and operations of that company. Because I work for IPLAN, I also work in CABASE. CABASE is the Argentinian Chamber of Internet, and we run 17 IXPs around the country. And also because I work on CABASE, I also work for LAC-IX, which is the Latin American and the Caribbean Internet Exchange Association. So, and I don't work in any other place because I don't have more time. So, now, I mentioned that because probably in my presentation, my thoughts would reflect probably 3 hats. So that's the idea, that you understand where I come from. So, in first place, probably some of us are read the article written by Carlos in the IETF journal, and I'm almost 100%, I agree almost in 100% with him. He clearly described what happened in our region. He talks about asymmetry, and probably he mentioned this asymmetry, I don't know, regarding our countries, but also he talks about the density of population that also Oscar mentioned, and this asymmetry is also within our countries. So we have a lot of concentration in people in some cities, usually one city per country. So that's a challenge when we want to make some developments in the whole country. So of course we are facing some problems, but our region is growing a lot. And I would like to share with you some figures of the IXP that I work for. Cabase has 17 IXPs, 17 IXPs, yes, around the country. I run one of them, the one located in Buenos Aires. And the one located in Buenos Aires was founded by 1998. The second one was created in 2010, so many years before having the second IXP in our country. So it reflects this problem of having a big city and the rest of the country. So, sorry. So, and if you look at the growing that we have had in the last 5 years, the aggregate growing that you can see annually is, for traffic, 115% per year. For members of the IXPs, I mean the companies that get connected to our IXPs, is 43% per year. So it means we are facing the challenge of having a lot of growth. Our traffic currently is 85 gigabits per second, probably, I don't know, not too much for several parts of the world, but a lot here. And if you look at Brazil, the IX.BR, I see people from Brazil over there, and they have 25 IXPs around the country, and they are much more bigger than anybody here. So they have more than 1,200 members and more than 1,300 gigabits per second of traffic. But in the last 3 years, they also have the same rate for growing. It's 119% per year for traffic, and I guess it's 45% of member per year, new members per year. So it means it could be kind of benchmark, but it shows that the region is growing. And Brazil has a lot of important cities, but probably Sao Paulo is such a big city that it has also the same problem of having a lot of traffic over there. So, and the challenge that I see that we are facing is that with such a huge growing, I understand we have good people, but we need more people with more knowledge. So I think it is not the bottleneck, but it could be kind of bottleneck. It's not the only one that we have in the region. So growing is the good news. I think we also have some bad news. Oscar mentioned about IPv6. Probably we are not in the best shape compared to some parts of the world. Specifically Argentina is not in the top 3 of the LACNIC report. So I think we also have some pendings regarding DNSSEC and also PKI, sorry. But that's the bad part, but I think we have made many things in the last few years. Within the community of LACNIC, I think the community is growing. I see much more participation from our people. As Mauricio mentioned, it's we probably as Latins we like to share, and that's I don't know, that's the way Latins like to touch the other and probably share things. So the community is growing, and I think there are some milestones very important in the region. Since the year 2010, we have the LACNOG, which is the Latin American and the Caribbean Network Operation Group, so the equivalent to NANOG, that has been there for a lot of time. So we are just 5 or 6 years old. So that's important. I think it brought a lot of activity to our community. It's one of the ways of having more people with more knowledge. Also now we are having NOGs at our countries. I know Chile has a NOG, Argentina has a NOG since last year. In fact, the last weekend in this hotel there was an RNOG, which is IR for Argentina, NOG. There was a meeting for 2 days. So we are having meetings 2 or 3 times a year, so this community starts to grow. The list, the mailing list start to have a lot of activity, so that's very interesting. Also we have the LAC-IX. So LAC-IX is the Latin American and Caribbean Internet Exchange Association. It's where the ones, the IXPs that we want to improve internet, we think one way of doing that is promoting the creation of IXPs and also promoting the cooperation among us. So a lot of things were done in the community to have more people with more knowledge. So for me also means a better internet. Okay. So now the IETF in Argentina. So it's in Argentina, sorry, in the region. It's the first time in the region. I think for all of us it's something very, very important. I'm really glad that it was in Argentina and in Buenos Aires where I live. And what should I expect from that? First thing is we shouldn't consider this event as a tipping point. What I mean is, after a tipping point, you change the slope of a shape. But I would like to see this event, this meeting, as the kickoff of a new process. I mean, as we started with LACNOG 5 years ago, I think we can start something new with IETF. As Mauricio mentioned, I think it's sometimes difficult to get active in IETF for several reasons. Sometimes it must be a matter of knowledge. I mean, I'm not talking about few persons. I'm talking globally. Probably we need people with more knowledge. But the other is the barrier that we have with time. So this morning I was talking with one of my engineers that is very enthusiastic about being here, and I said, "What are you going to do after IETF?" "No, yes, I will keep following the working group. He's following the DNS ops. He knows a lot about DNS. Probably the knowledge is not a problem for him, and he said, because it's going to be for me like a hobby, and that's bad, because it's nice to have the hobby and the work. It's nice when it's the same, but probably if you have a hobby, you don't spend all the time that you should spend. So it's something that we have to fix. Sometimes we don't have the time at our jobs to dedicate, I don't know, 20% of our time to IETF, or at least in some moments of the year. But anyway, I think it's very positive. I'm sure we can get closer to the IETF, to some groups that are easier for us to approach. Probably the OPS groups are easier for us because it's more closer to the things that we do every day. So I'm very optimistic about this meeting. If we understand it's going to be part of an ecosystem that we are being constructing, And we understand this as a kickoff of a process that any one of us has to make efforts. So just let me share what I mean by making efforts. IPLAN is a sponsor of connectivity of these events, so we get tickets for doing that. That was great because it was my intention to have my people coming here. And so the one that wanted the ticket had to work for coming here. So I made a program for having them in at least one working group, understand what happened there, and then share with the rest of the people in the company. I mean, I'm talking about the engineering and operation people, of course. I mean, we have to find, we cannot expect from others for having this process going on. So the ones who work in company have to be involved, trying to get the people involved in this new process that we can start. So thanks for the time. Thanks to everybody.
This is really short, sorry, I had to stay in this position. I want to thank Oscar, Mauricio, and Anand for taking their time to be with us during this lunch speaker series. I hope you enjoyed some of the issues and experiences they had to offer. I would really, especially would like to thank Hernan for their support with the connectivity for the event. IPLAN was one of the two providers, and let me tell you that we opened quite a few tickets for them, and they were very helpful with IPv6 transit, routing. They had to fix quite a lot of issues, and they were really, really responsive. So this week for them was like double work. They had to be here at the IETF while fixing their network. So thank you to all of three of you. And my personal hope is that this IETF in Buenos Aires is the beginning and not just the culmination of a process. So thank you very much. I really like these red buttons. Yeah, sure. ¿Dónde?